Well, welcome everyone once again to the wilds of Montana. We're out here on a beautiful spring day. Can't get much better than this, about 60 degrees and blue skies with partly cloudy. So this is about as good as it gets. Still some snow up in the peaks. So, but no snow here around the house right now. So anyway, so the prodigal son. So he told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all that he had and traveled to a distant country. And as the older brother watched him walk away, he said to himself, "Yes, that turkey brother of mine is gone! Ding dong, my brother's gone, the favored one, but now he's done. Ding dong, my bratty brother's gone." No. The older brother wouldn't feel that way, would he? He wouldn't think that, "Oh, Dad always paid too much attention to that guy. I was the smart one, the elder, the more experienced and hard-working one. Now I'll get my due. Dad will see my true worth without the distraction of that layabout brother." Oh yeah, I imagine we've all been there in some shape or form, whether in a family situation or work or the church, God forbid, or some social circle. The one guy or gal who goes to the beat of a different drum, maybe an attention grabber, but maybe otherwise just a constant distraction. Do we really need this? Picture a church scenario. Someone who's active and involved, but always seems to be contrarian. Maybe they help out a lot, but maybe they don't. But they always seem to be a distraction. And then for some reason, they're gone. Maybe they moved away. Maybe they just dropped off the radar. And you think, this is really great. Everything is so much better now. And then they come back. And not only do they come back, but on a packed Sunday morning during announcement time, the rector acknowledges this person and welcomes them back. And everyone politely applauds. And you think, really? We're celebrating because this person has come back to annoy us all over again? God, kind of like that prodigal deacon. Just when you think you've gotten rid of him, boom, he shows up again. Ain't it the truth? But then maybe we need a little annoyance in our life. We don't know what the other brother thought about the younger brother taking off and with half the inheritance and then it doesn't say. He only comes into the story at the end. Maybe he was happy to see him go, as I have alluded above. Maybe he was upset because not only did he take on half of the estate, but then he left his share of the work for the older brother to take on. Double the workload. Or maybe if we read the older brother as being representative of the Pharisees, he simply sees his younger brother as a miserable sinner, not worthy of his time, and certainly not worthy of his father, throwing a party for him on the occasion of his pitiful return. Regardless of the circumstances of this younger brother's departure, his reaction upon the return of his younger brother does not bode well for thoughts of an enduring familial affection. Makes you wonder if someone besides just the younger brother is lost. Now, before I get too far down this one path, I need to bring in another aspect of all of this. Some of you may have noticed that there is a gap in the reading from the gospel today. We jump from verse 3 to the last part of verse 11. What, may you ask, was skipped over? Well, I'm going to tell you. Because there's just not one parable in this section, there are 3. We just skip over the first 2 shorter ones to get to the more meaty one about the prodigal son. But the other 2 offer some additional perspective to all of this. So he told them this parable. which one of you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, does not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the one that is lost, until he finds it? And when he has found it, he lays it on his shoulders and rejoices. And when he comes home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, "Rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost." Just so, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who need no repentance. Or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one of them, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, for I have found the coin that I had lost." Just so, I tell you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents. And then Jesus said, there was a man who had 2 sons. So, here we have these 3 parables. A shepherd loses 1 sheep, leaves 99 to go find the missing one, finds it, calls all his friends to celebrate. A woman loses 1 coin, sweeps the house until she finds it, calls all her friends to come celebrate. A man's son leaves home to live a life of wanton waste and debauchery. He becomes destitute and returns home in rags. His father greets him with joy and invites all their friends over to celebrate his return. So what might we discern from all of this? Well, one thing, and I know this will be hard for all you Episcopalians to hear, but maybe, just maybe, we don't celebrate enough. I mean, do we really know how to party? I mean, imagine. Let's say Father Everett got a note from some newcomers how they really enjoyed the service here at St. Gabriel's and they wanted to be part of the St. Gabriel's family. Let's have a party! Or maybe Anne was going through some old files in the office and found an envelope with $40 in it, out of nowhere. Let's have a party! You know, I'd say a certain word, but this being Lent, you'll just have to imagine me saying it. Let's rejoice at this good news! But there is another reason why I wanted to bring these 2 parables into the fold. It is not because of how they are similar in the sense of something lost, something found, something rejoiced, but it is rather the subtle way in which the third one is different from the first 2. A way that caused me great pause in my reading of it this time around. See, in the first 2 parables, that which is lost prompts a search until that which is lost is found. The lost sheep is found by the shepherd. The lost coin is found by the woman. But it is not so in the case of the prodigal son. No one goes looking for him. For some reason, I was really struck by this. The lost son had to come to himself, come to his senses, and determine on his own to return to his father and ask for forgiveness. And upon reflection, this made me quite sad. What if he had come to his senses but still felt that his circumstance was hopeless, that he had burned his bridges and there was no path to return, even as a servant or hired hand? Who would search for him? The father has agreed to his son's desire for free will and allowed him to choose his path. How could he now go and reverse that decision? He is ready to welcome his wayward son back, but what if he never comes? Who will go and search for him? So, as I am often motivated on certain occasions, I decided to rewrite this parable to better reflect my uneasiness with the possible plight of this family, but under different circumstances. So I ask you to bear with me here as I share this alternate take on the prodigal son. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country. And there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. Now, while the younger son was gone, the father would spend part of each day gazing out on the horizon in hopes of seeing his wayward son return. And as the days went on, he became more and more disheartened. The older son began to notice his father's increasing despair and how much he longed for the safe return of his younger brother. Finally, the older son said to himself, "It is not good that my father lives with this continued concern for my brother. I will go and diligently seek out my brother and convince him to return to the arms of his loving father." And so the older son told the servants not to tell his father what he was doing, and set off to find his brother. After much fruitless searching, he finally came upon his brother feeding the pigs. He went up to him and said, "Brother, your father is in great despair over your absence from him, and I know it would bring him great joy if you were to return." But the brother replied, "I have sinned against heaven and before my father. I am no longer worthy to be called his son." The older brother answered, "You do not know the depth of your father's love and his willingness to always forgive. Come, return and see how much he loves you." So the two set out. While they were still far off, their father saw them and was filled with compassion and joy. He ran and put his arms around the younger son and kissed him. Then the younger son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his slaves, "Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. And put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." Then the father turned to the older son and hugged him. "You have brought back our lost sheep into the fold. Great is the service you have done, and well it will be remembered, because this brother of yours was dead and has come back to life. He was lost and has been found." I have at times been saddened over the elder brother's fate, a fate I believe he brings on himself in the original parable by being a passive participant in the story until his bitterness overwhelms him in the end. Maybe it is not just the younger son who is lost. Would that we could look at this and see that not only might we rejoice because the younger son has been found, but perhaps as well, the elder son has been found too. Amen.